Hello, everyone. I'm Eric C. Jackson. Welcome back to the studio podcast. I have been working on several things over the past few weeks, more so photography, loading up the images, and creating the product list, the price list, which is everything on the back end for the website. So it has taken me. It's taken me a long time. And then in the middle of that, I took a few days off, almost like a week off, because I was really exhausted. But I'm back working on everything. I think the biggest thing too is my signature. I found a guide where I learned how to tweak it and make it better. And so now I'm going back over the prints that I've already signed and I'm improving the signature on those with the new technique I learned. So it's a lot of just not really exciting work that I've been doing, but it's just making sure that everything looks the way it's supposed to look and all the prints are presented the way that I want them to be presented. So now when you go on the website, it is, you know what? Let me go ahead and show you what I've been doing. Okay. So you see my signature down here, the bottom left-hand corner. I've been tweaking that on everything that has a signature right now. So the vertical images, you're not going to be able to see the signature on the desktop version of the website. Let's go to gallery. I did take away the red accent color because I felt like that was way too strong and I went with more of a light gray color. So now all the names pop up a lot more clearly. Like I said, I thought the red was too strong. Okay, and so what do I want to touch on first? There are archival photographs that I've been working on, and so the archival is like I said before, but I'll go ahead and remind everyone because I haven't been on here in a while. The archival photographs are pretty dated. For example, this one is from 2013. Now, what I did do is I changed the layout on the desktop version so that you don't have to click the information icon anymore. Once you click on the thumbnail, the title, the description, the year 2013, everything, all the information is going to be here right under the print. And then the other buttons are still up here in the top right hand corner. As far as print, adding it to a selection, and then the share button is up here. So I tweaked quite a few of these things here. But yeah, the signature, I don't know if you guys saw the other version before, but I lightened up my signature. I just made the presentation of it better. And so, like I said, I'm going back over all of the images and making sure that the presentation of the signature is better. And then once you click the print button, let's go with HD photo print, 12 by 8 without border. And so you see here the cost it starts at $50 for the 8 by 12. And so the archival prints are geared towards people who have, that your budget is just not as high as like a high profile client or collector. And so one of the, I don't even know if I want to call it a complaint, but what people were asking me is they wanted photographs in my collection that are more affordable. And so I went back into the archives in my inventory, just looking over all the photographs I have. And I have a lot of older pieces in my inventory that I had them on the website before when I was using Shopify, and I took them off because they were taking up way too much space and taking up way too much time for me to manage, and so I started taking them away. But I think I have about 150 photographs that can go into the archival category. And so that's what I'm working on. I'm working on adding those prints to this new website. Now, again, I'm using I don't know if you guys can see it over here, the new web hostess photo deck. I did have the trial extended an extra week, so it was about a 3-week trial period that I just carried. And once I figured out that everything was going to work the way that I wanted to work, I went ahead and got the full version, the full subscription on here. So it's been working very well. It is about $10 cheaper compared to the e-commerce option on Shopify, if you guys are wondering. So yeah, I mean, I really like it. And the thing is that I have way more options in terms of when you click on print, like we talked about before. All the products are here, and then every product is going to have different options. There's inches, there's centimeters here. There's little thumbnails here on examples of what the product is going to look like. And of course, the other thing I have to work on too is actually ordering some of these and taking photographs of the actual prints. But there are examples up here. And of course, this is 12 by 8 and go all the way up to 60 by 40. And then in centimeters, 30 to 20 goes up to 150 by 100 centimeters. And so if you click like this, is a little room here. I had this on the Shopify site, but I couldn't scale it to the print size. Like every time you click a different print size, I couldn't change this on the images that I had. So on this website, everything's integrated. So if I change the print size, it's gonna change the size on the image. So you have a better idea of how large the print is gonna be compared to a typical room size. So that part is really cool to have added on here. So this particular room, you'll have the 12 by 8 and then the 10 by 15 print is going to be on here. Once you select the larger size, like the 18 by 12, it's going to change that room and it'll scale it up. Once you get to the bigger sizes, it changed the room again. This is 45 by 30, and then the largest one, 60 by 40. So now you know in comparison to the sofa, like how much room this is going to take up. The other thing that I've added on here within the past week or so actually are let me see if I can blow this up, the other prices. So this is conversion in other currencies. Excuse me. So of course it's always going to be in US because that's where I am based. But I've had a lot of traffic come in since the website has gone live, that I would say over half of my traffic is coming in from overseas. And so it really picked up during the past couple of weeks. Australia, Singapore, China, sometimes Russia, etc. So I've taken the countries that pop up the most, that I'm getting visitors from the most, and I've added your currencies down here. So that when you select something, the currency for your country will be here. I can only put 8 different currencies here, alternate currencies here. I have more options, but I just chose like the top 8. But 8 is all they'll allow me to fit here, besides the US price. But anyway, and I couldn't do that on the previous site either, so that's a really nice option there. And let me see. But yeah, you would just have to go through the different products, do your comparisons. The description's still up here. But again, like I said, for the archival photos, the pricing is going to be a lot lower. The thing that that I want to try to do is share my pricing structure with you guys, because what I do is I have my prints in folders depending on their pricing, their price level. So everything that's like in tiers 1 through 6, that's at the higher end of my prices, and everything that's 7 to 16 as far as folders, that's in the lower end of prices. And so if you're looking for a budget that's in like tier 5, then you can just click on a keyword and everything in that price range is going to show up on the screen. So I'll show you guys an example of what I'm thinking about adding on here. All right, so let's back up a little bit, and I'll go ahead and pick another image here. Let's go Volcano Beach. And we'll say distant horizon. So on the bottom here, let me see if I can make this larger. Here's all the photo keywords down here, right? So let's say like someone searched before Florida. So you click on Florida. Everything that has that keyword Florida is going to show up on the screen. So I want to do the same thing with the price points. So if someone comes with a specific price range, like Eric, what art pieces do you have within this certain price range? They can click on a certain keyword and all of that will come up for them. I'll just tell them, oh, it's in tier 5 or it's in tier 10, something like that. And then they would click on that on the website, and then they can shop accordingly to what's in that price range, right? And then if they're looking for something that's a little higher, something a little lower, if they don't find something that they like, then they can do it that way as well. They can switch between the price ranges. So it's the same principle. Now, the other thing that I want to reiterate is, you see the final in the corner, the final tag here. That means that print is available for purchase. So for Tower, you don't see the final tag that's up here in the corner. That's because I still have to go back and put this, put the actual print file onto the website. Because all of these, like, some of these are just the thumbnail files for, like, I use to share on social media. So I put those on here as stand-in, so I know what I need to work on and keep all the work in order, like chronological order. So I still have to do that. Oh, this is from 2016. But yeah. So it's not available yet. Now, what you can do, if you say that you like this one, but the print is still not ready, you can just go up to here in the top right corner and say add selection, and that will put this print in the selections cart. So you can just collect as many prints as you want to right here as potentials to something that you would like to buy. So I did keep that on here. I think that's a nice feature. Now, New York, I believe it should be finished with everything, right? I believe it should be finished. But at this point, there are so many prints on here now. There's almost 200 prints on here now. So what I've done is when you place your order, the order is going to come to me first. I'm going to approve it. And if any changes are made, I'll send you a thumbnail on what change is made so that you'll see, okay, this is what the print is going to look like. And then once you sign off on it, it's going to go ahead and go through. Now, I'm probably going to be in this mode for another couple of weeks until I'm sure that everything is finished. Because it gets a little overwhelming, to be honest, because I have so much work on here and I'm going over everything to make sure that I didn't skip over something. There's nothing that I need to tweak, that type of thing. Because I finished Clarity. I finished this series and then I realized that I needed to tweak the signature. So I went back and did that. So point being, if an order came in the process of me going back and tweaking something, I can just work on that one image that's going to be ordered and then send it to the lab, to the photo lab. But as it is, these are done. For right now, the only thing I would do is confirm it that it's done, and then it'll go to the printer. Now, for these that are finished, the print file is already in the system on the servers. So I don't have to send them anything. Everything's already there. And then once I'm sure that all the prints are done, everything's the way it's supposed to be, then I'll go ahead and unlock the ordering process so that I don't have to approve it first. You'll just come onto the site, make your selections, put them in the cart, go through the order process, and it'll go directly to the photo lab. I don't have to check over anything. But I'm definitely going through that now of making sure that everything is finished the way that it needs to be. So the other thing that I ran into that the Shopify store was better at is this particular web host doesn't sync the changes that I make to the website. It doesn't sync them all the time to the mobile side of the website, the mobile. Like if you go on your phone and you go to the website, the fonts can be different. The accent colors can be different. I don't want to say user interface, but the layout can be different with the prints. And so I noticed that a few days ago that it's not always in sync in terms of the layout, colors, etc. So a couple of days ago, I started going back and looking at that and what do I need to tweak so that it looks as close to the website version. Like the mobile version and the website version should look pretty much the same. But right now it's as close as I can get it to, as close as I can get it to being the same, similar. I'm not sure why the two versions are not in sync, but but they're not in sync. So I'm checking with that as well. What else have I been working on? Okay, so creative writing. The main reason that I had to switch from Shopify to Photodeck is because I wanted the order process to be automated. And I need the order process to be automated because I want to get back into writing a lot more. So I did create a Substack over the weekend, and I added, which story did I add? I think I started all the way at the bottom. All the way, let's see. I added No Fear to the Substack site. But I'm going to be adding X-Men: The New Age. It's fan fiction that's going to go on there, but it's a screenplay, 199 pages. It's a lot of um, in order to get a screenplay to work on Substack, I have to reformat the font. Well, not the fonts, the text. I have to reformat it so it's more readable. So that's the part that's going to take me the longest. Everything that's either a feature length screenplay or a short script, I have to reformat it so you can read it. You can read it, clearly. Everything comes across clearly. Because otherwise, it's like some text will merge with other paragraphs and it'll line up funny, and it just turns into a mess. And so that's what's going to take me a while, is to reformat the screenplays into more like a novel format. But that's going to be where the writing is. And then once I have all the old work transferred over to Substack, I'm going to start writing new stuff, which I have ideas, but I have not had the amount of time that I would like to have to really focus in on the writing, because it's very just coming up with story concepts, outlines, story beats, character development, settings. It's really involved. And so it takes a lot more focus for me to work on writing than it does on photography. Photography, I'm pretty much in automatic mode, where it does take time, but it's not like really intensive, because at this point I've been doing this for over 12 years. I have a good feel for not having to take hundreds of photographs to get what I'm trying to capture, that sort of thing, like setup, lighting. It's like I'm in a really good rhythm. Writing, on the other hand, I haven't written something in so long that I have to get back into a rhythm of writing consistently. So there's that. And writing is the other thing too, where time goes by really fast, especially when I'm like in the middle of writing a scene or scenes, or like a third of the story. Time goes by really quickly, and the next thing you know, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's just, I've gotten backed up on a whole bunch of stuff. And so, like I've said before, is that I'm moving a lot of things out of the way so that I will have more time to write. And then the other thing that I'm doing is I have let me see if I can just bring it on up here. Stage 32. I think it's .com. This is my site that I use for my profile. Well, as a screenwriter. And so, hold on, let me see if I can bring this up. There we go. Hold on, I have a profile on here. I have to see if it's the right page. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is my stage32.com profile page. I'm probably going to take away the photographer still position and just use screenwriter. But this is where just professionally, like, all my writing will be. I'm probably gonna take all the poetry stuff away, and anytime I'm finished with a new screenplay, this is where it's going to be. So there's directors, producers, cinematographers, like everyone in the film industry, no matter what their position or where they fall on filmmaking. A lot of people use Stage 32. There's contests, there's, gosh, I'm blinking out on the word, coverage. There's script coverages. So I've had a few script coverages. I was really close on getting the two recommendations that I needed for one of my screenplays, but I only got one out of two. But once you get two recommendations on one screenplay, your screenplay gets moved on to the next phase of getting promoted to producers, executive producers, directors, etc. So I only got one out of two recommendations. I need both recommendations. And I did speak briefly to one of the producers for that particular screenplay. So I have to get back into that. And it does cost, I would say, $100 to $150 per coverage. So you just don't want to start throwing out anything, right? You want to take the best of your writing and then really focus on getting that in front of the right people. So that's what I'm going to get back into for sure. But right now it's just all of the previous works that I have, getting all those together. I printed out already quite a few of my short scripts and screenplays. I have to figure out which one I want to promote over the others. The first one I already know. Like the one I got the coverage for, that one came back pretty good. But I'm going to try that one again, in terms of promoting. But yeah, I need more. I would say like 3 to 5 in different genres. And yeah, but the one that I got the coverage for is a Christian screenplay, but it's not, gosh, how can I put it? It's not preachy. There's no scenes like in a church or anything like that. It's very normal. So it turned into a drama, romance, suspense type of thing. It has, the main character is a Christian. And I think he's the only Christian in the cast. He's the only one in the cast. Everyone else is just his coworkers, his boss, friends, that type of thing. So it's not like I would call it like a Christian film, but it does have Christian themes in it, right? So I couldn't leave that part of it out in terms of genre. But when you really get into the script, and the producer or director I shared it with, when he really got into it, it really is more like a romance. It's not a romantic comedy, but it does have drama, suspense in it. Maybe a little hint of action in there. But yeah, it's more so that. And so I think I did get the 1 out of 2 recommendations because the idea, the story concept is good. It can work. But there are some tweaks to it that I have to make, because since I'm taking 2 different major genres and mashing them together, I gotta find a balance. I have to find a balance there. But I read back then it was the first 12 pages. I read it to I took a screenwriting class in Southern California. This was several years ago. And part of our final was reading are 12 to 15 pages or short script, reading it in front of the class. And so I was nervous. I was shaking. Like, I hate standing in front of crowds. So it got to the point where I had to sit on the one of the tables as I was reading, and got to the end of the 12 pages. Everyone liked it. The professor liked it. But yeah, and then after that, I just took a completely different path. Like, I didn't really follow my screenwriting as much. And so now I'm at the point with my photography where I feel like I'm getting to the end of that road in terms of experimenting and what I can do, what I can create. And it's like I want to spend more time with doing something else. And I think some of the stories that I have in mind are maybe a little dark, maybe a little dark, maybe a little bit too political in nature. But society issues, politics gets interwoven into that. But I just feel like there's a lot of stories that can be told. And then the last thing that I'll touch on, and it's in the same category as far as stories go, is did I list it here? Yes. This is back in 2015. Yes, it's a long time ago. It is still being sold on Amazon. And this is an ebook, Kindle, in color. And I did the illustration. I put a little bit of a story together. It's not really complicated, but I just created a character, Chompy, goes to school, and as you can see, the character is very silly. The character's googly eyes, which I kind of took from Cookie Monster, but I created a world where there's a bunch of Chompies running around, and what I got stuck on is the story that can surround them, right? So I don't think I can go into the inside pages. Hold on, I'm gonna look for this. So let me see. What I got stuck on is the story. What story can I make up? Because I feel like there needs to be other characters involved in the story, and I can't think of what the characters would actually do. I guess they would be more like filler or help guide where the story is going, because the Chompies themselves don't talk. Of course, I always imagine they would make these cute noises or squirms or beeps or something like that, but I didn't think about story, how to drive the story along. So let me bring this up because I have some thumbnails here. All right. So let me see if I can bring this over here. So of course, this is just the alphabet. So basically, the Chompies, they go to an actual school, and there's letters, the alphabet, just all throughout the environment. And so going down the hall, in the classroom, on the playground, there's, all the letters here. So what I did do is, if I can get them to come up over here, I went into Photoshop. Actually, I did pencil drawings, like a lot of pencil drawings, and then I dragged that into, scanned it into Photoshop, painted everything, and I just felt like the illustration needs to be better. But I like where the idea goes. So yeah, the O, the P, there's outside there. This is cafeteria, of course, which would be lunchtime. And then after lunch, I figured, okay, they would take a nap, and so they're on these little cushions with a blanket, and their eyes are completely within their body at this point. Their hands, their eyes, they just go into a ball, right? And that's how they sleep. Because as I imagine it, they really don't have eyelids. So, oh my goodness. I got two more. So what am I going to do with this? I'm going to have to pitch this to actual publishers and illustrators and see if they want to help me create this world, and then figure out how the story can be built. I feel like I can get more ideas from this once I get back to working on it. But yeah, this is a U, letter V, and yeah. And of course, as you can see, they're all different colors. You know, they are all different colors. I was just very liberal with my color choices. I was like, it doesn't matter, just colors everywhere. So yeah, that's the idea. But yeah, the reading age 2 to 5 years old is basically for preschool, obviously. And the ebook is 23 pages. And this is the second edition because the first edition that I did as an actual book, I didn't like how it came out at all. So I made the second edition into an ebook, and colors look a lot better, more vibrant than it did when I printed it out. So that's also something that I would have to talk to publishers about. But I haven't promoted this in I don't know how long. So I'm going to use the ebook as I don't know, I don't want to say promotion, but as in my inquiry with publishers and illustrators on helping me, like I said, create this world. But yeah, they bounce everywhere. They roll up in a ball. They bounce, they roll. And I think they eat a lot. Like a lot. So they eat to the point where like they can bite through pretty much anything. Like if you put them at their desk in a classroom, they can bite through the desk, through the wood. They can like munch on pretty much anything. So I did also put like one scene I illustrated where they're going down the hall, there's locker rooms, but then there's like a bite missing out of one of the signs that's on the wall. So yeah, they just take a bite out of stuff. So that kind of periodically shows up in the book where they're taking bites out of things. Yeah, so I think that's really cute. But anyway, so between the children's story, the screenplays, the feature length, and the short scripts, and then there are some of these where, um, gosh, where's the other one? Hold on, they're here. I have to find it. Oh, here we go. This is not a screenplay. This is a just story, short story, about 5,000 words. Wrote it this is like 10 years ago. But anytime I share it on a different platform, people gravitate towards it. It's nowhere near the Christian genre. It's more fantasy, romance, drama, and then pieces of action in there, suspense in there as well. So from the short works that I have, written works I have, this is the most popular, like by far. And then I shared it on the Vocal platform, and people were asking me like, "Are you gonna make a series out of this?" And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know what else I would put in this one, but I say that because this is also going to go on a Substack website, and it's going to be easier for me to add because it's already in the novel short story format. So I'm not going to have to change the format. I'm just going to make sure that everything, the spacing and all that between paragraphs is correct. But I think that's about it. This will be an easy addition to the Substack channel. So with the Substack channel, I'm going to add that into the description for this podcast. And so you guys will be able to go there. Right now, there's only the one short script on there. But like I said, I'm going to add as many things on there as possible. There's no subscription fee. You'll just be able to add it in and share it. The main thing with Substack, I just want a lot more visibility. Because like I said, like with photography and writing, I have so much work that I had to figure out how I'm going to keep up with everything, how everything's going to be shared under the same umbrella, and then how am I going to have time to make more without having to micromanage the work that I already have. So I definitely want to get away from the micromanaging part of this. But yeah, everything is here. So going back to stage 32, I think now, because my network is already at 106, is my focus is going to go towards networking, like actually contacting people, just picking their brains, what's their ideas, sharing my ideas. Do we want to do collaborations, or are we just like writing partners where I'm writing my work, you're writing your work? And that's how it's been before when I've done this, is I've tried collaborations, but it just turned into, I write what I'm going to write, they write what they're going to write, and we just try to help each other remain consistent. And, you know, we just hold each other accountable, really. So, but we're not working on the same projects. So that's how it's been before. Yeah, I mean, and then most of this, gosh, I would say I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 posted on here. One, two, three, four, five. 5 out of the 8 are not in the Christian genre. And I'm building my portfolio like that on purpose because I don't want to be pigeonholed into one genre. And I think that I just want to try everything, like a little bit of everything. So if it's horror, mystery, if it's Christian genre, if it's comedy, romance, like just try different genres and see what people gravitate towards. But as far as the short story titled She Knew Who I Was, that's definitely fantasy. I thought that would be the worst received. I thought that would be the worst received story that I ever wrote, but that's been the best received, and I wouldn't have guessed that beforehand. So that's why I just want to try writing in different genres and see to see what happens. But like I said, my new ideas. Whoo boy. It's heavy. They're very heavy. They're very heavy, very emotional. Especially the one that keeps coming back to mind lately is probably gonna cause controversy. It's definitely polarizing, but I feel like I see, like, I don't see the entire story, but I see the beginning, a little bit of the climax, and then how it ends. Like, I know how it ends. It's just, how am I going to get the story really to get there without it seeming like it's contrived or convoluted or something. But yeah, and I'm sitting on my day job thinking about it, and I'm like, man, this is depressing. Like the story beats and everything that's going on in terms of content, really depressing, really hard to digest. But it does concern social society issues that we regularly see a lot, especially in 2024. And so I feel like in order for me to write the story and have it be received as well as possible, I'm gonna have to take a more creative angle instead of like driving the narrative or something down someone's throat. Like, just look at everything on both sides, right? Because it's polarizing, so there's two sides, right? So you have a group that thinks of the issue one way, you have another group that thinks of the issue in completely opposite way. So the story really follows both paths, right? Like, okay, instead of picking a side, right, for the film, take the film in both directions, right? And they'll alternate between the two, right? Timeline is going to be the same. It's not going to be jumping from one time to a different time, but it's more so of you're looking at, okay, if you follow it on one hand and you go on this path, this is where you're going to end up. And if you follow it on this hand, right, on this side of it, and you go on this path, this is where you're going to end up. And of course, by the end of the movie, how I'm looking at it, we all end up in the same place, really. So really, there's not going to be a division. Like the polarizing part of it, it's going to be whittled away, hopefully. But that's how I see it. Are people going to take it like that? Or are people going to be happy that we end up at the same place? Probably not. But that's where the story's going. So I'm kind of excited about that. And for me right now, the hardest thing is coming up with names. Because when I was in screenwriting class, that's one thing that one of my professors would say is like, you're gonna have to change the name of the character. Because when I'm like, I don't know the name of the character. I can see the character's face and build and all that, right? Their name, I don't know. So I'm just pulling names from other movies. Like, I'm just pulling names. And then someone will read and they'd be like, oh, isn't this the name of this particular character in this film? And I'm like, oh, yeah. And so actually, when I'm getting towards the end of writing, I have to go back over all the names and make sure that I'm not using, especially with one of the main characters, not using a name that's already been used like too many times before in other films. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So, gosh, I'm going to intertwine working on stories in the midst of finishing the photography section, the art section of the website. And like I said, Lord have mercy, I've got so many. I have a lot. And then at the same time, I don't even know if I told everybody yet, can I open this? I did finally upgrade my keyboard to, yes, this is another Apple product. I'm sorry. I bought it. And yes, there is something on this Apple product too that I gripe about. This does not have backlit keys on it. It does have the Touch ID. There's the full numeric keypad that I wanted. The function keys, everything is good, but there's no backlit keys on this. And for how much it cost, the key should have been backlit for sure. But that's a whole nother that's another subject for another day. And I probably mentioned before that, let me see if I can blow this up. I did upgrade my monitor, my secondary monitor. So this is what I'm looking at. My Mac Mini. This video is old because this over here, I upgraded the video game console to. But yeah, I'm. So now this is my on the right is the 27-inch. This is the 27-inch. This is the color calibrated one for my photo editing. And then this over here, this is on the right. So on the left, the bigger monitor or TV is the 43-inch. And both of these are 4K. So yeah, I mean, I like the setup. Yes, I have to get a much bigger desk because I can't fit everything on a table, of course. And I'm thinking like a L-shaped or even a U-shaped desk for my printer. I need more storage space, all of that. But I wanted to purchase all the items first and then figure out like how big of a desk do I need. Yeah, so I'm going to need something like 60 inches wide. And then maybe like the depth is like 3 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet. It's going to have to be something crazy like that. But yeah, that's down the road. So I'm like marking stuff off of my list of things to get. slowly but surely. So at this point, I keep saying that I'm almost finished, but I really am almost finished this time. um, I really am almost finished. But anyway, my point being is that since I upgraded the secondary monitor in April, I've been able to work on my projects a lot faster because I have more space, and the resolution on the television is a lot better because the 27-inch was 4K, and then the monitor I had over here before, it was not. It was like a 720p, something like that. It was bad. But anyway, so what I'm going to be working on if you guys are wondering what I'm going to be doing while I'm away, is adding a lot of these. These are all old, like they're old. 2009, 2008. Let me bring this over. This is actually 2008. And it's one of the first photographs probably I ever took. I can't say that I knew what I was doing with the camera because I hadn't worked with a DSLR before. But yeah, I went to the beach and this row of pelicans was flying towards me. They were pretty high up, and I just started clicking away and ended up with the little half moon in here, and they're all, pretty much in a line. And I think people ask me a lot, like, did I Photoshop in any of the pelicans? No, they were just, you just capture one of those moments. And that particular morning, it was all clear blue sky. So the only thing is I didn't know how to shoot in RAW. I only knew how to capture the small JPEG. So I can't print this above an 8x12 inch. Like, it's just not gonna... the quality is gonna deteriorate after that. But yeah, that's gonna be added to the site as well. I have already completed the product and price list on the back end on the website. So that stuff I did the weekend before last. I just spent 2.5 days, like Friday evening until Sunday afternoon, something like that. Like, just all that stuff on the back end, like, get all of that done. And so now all I have to do is add my signature to this, and upload it to the website. The product list is already there, the category that it fits in. So just add it to the correct category and done. That's it. But I have to do that a bunch of times because, like I said, I have a lot of photos that people probably have not seen or forgot that I had it in the collection, and I took it off the website, the previous website. So this is 2009 when I was in Costa Mesa, California. Yeah, so the shot with the pelicans, that was Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And then New Year's 2009, I moved across the country to take more photography classes. So stuff from 2009 that's going to be from California. The quality is not as good because, first of all, the camera that I had wasn't as good as what I'm using right now. And just these files are old. These files are old. And I can say, like, back then, like, I was like a beginning photographer, like in terms of composition, lighting. I was like getting my sea legs under me still. So, but the thing about it is that sometimes people will come across one of these images and they'll be like, oh, I really like that one. And they'll want to purchase it. And I'm like, it's not even on the website anymore. It's not, so again, once people started telling me that they wanted something more in their price range, in a lower price bracket, I'm like, well, I have a bunch of photos like this. This is, gosh, how do you pronounce that? Trabuco Canyon, California. And one of my college roommates drove us out here. I don't know how he got us out here, but he was like, oh, let's just drive around, because he was from Germany. He was an international student. And he was like, I'm in California. I want to go see some stuff. So I rode with him out here, and I was like, being from Florida, like the first 30 years of my life in Florida, and then coming out here and seeing this, I was like, oh my goodness. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So being able to see mountains and everything's not flat, it was crazy. So I have so many photographs like this. Is crazy. This one, this is Laguna Beach, California. So I came out here by myself. That little blue that you see on the horizon, that's the Pacific Ocean. And I was like, I'm going to go on a hike for the first time in my life. So again, it's 2009 still. I think I was like, at this point I had been in California for like 6 months, 5 or 6 months. So I had taken more classes. I was more comfortable with the camera that I was using. It still wasn't as good as the DSLR I'm using right now, but it was decent. And I took a bunch of photos, which I lost most of them. Yeah, I lost most of them because one of my hard drives crashed. So I didn't have like all of the photos in different locations. So I lost a bunch of stuff, but I still have a bunch. And then some stuff I deleted because I was running out of hard drive space. So I'm like, I've got to get rid of some of this stuff. But yeah, this is my first ever hike. But yeah, I mean, there are so many memories as I start going back through this old stuff that I forgot I had. And I did get some comments on this one before in the past. And this is from 2014. As you can see, the quality of the photo looks better. Wow, I actually captured this one with the same camera body I'm using today, which is crazy. But yeah, now that I think about it, for sure. This one got a lot of compliments before, but again, it's at this point it's 10 years old. I had too much stuff on my Shopify store that it was too much for me to manage, and so I'm like, some of this stuff has to go. Right? But since I don't have to manage the order process on this new site, all I have to do is create the product and the price list for them, and I can just add as much stuff as I want, and I don't have to micromanage the order process of it like I used to. So like I said before, the orders, like through Shopify, the orders would have to come to me all the time, approve it, I would have to put in the order myself with the photo lab and then make sure that it goes where it's supposed to go. That type of thing. But yeah. So now, once the photo is uploaded and you'll see the final tab on there, everything goes through the photography lab, and then there's a third party, which is photodeck, which they make sure that it gets shipped correctly to the right client. I don't have to do any of that anymore. And like I said before, the only thing I'm managing from this point on is returns. The returns will still come to me. If someone wants to exchange something, then of course those would come to me. They would have to be shipped from the client to me, and then we'll have to reorder or exchange. Let's see. This is another old favorite that I forgot about. Forgot I even had it from 2017. And back then when I posted it on Instagram, people were like, oh, this is really nice. I like the colors. But yeah, and I looked through the folder for this. There's more that I could possibly add to this one. It's similar, but yeah, yeah, that's the same session. I tried it on white. I tried it on black. I tried close-ups. I didn't know how to take micro photos without a macro. I mean macro photos without the macro lens. But now I can with the macro photography. So there's that. Let's see. And then there's images like this one. 2019. This is from New York. The trip I took to New York in 2019, March 2019. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this in color, or if I'm gonna switch it to black and white, or do a mixture of the two. Like color, some parts color, some parts black and white. I'm not sure. I like the grid, all the squares that look to it. I like the texture, but I'm not crazy about the color. So I don't know. If it's completely black and white, I don't think that's gonna work unless I like kick up the lighting by a lot to emphasize it. Because I don't want it to look bland, but I don't know if I just need to change the color profile. I don't know. This might be the rare occasion where I drag this into Lightroom and try some different presets to see what it could possibly be in terms of style, presentation. I don't know. But yeah, there's stuff like that. This is my current city. This is 2016 Jacksonville, Florida. But it's the first time that I moved here, I believe. Because I moved here, stayed 2 years. I moved to Nevada. I was there 2 years. And then I came back. I moved to Las Vegas to jump into commercial photography, at least try to. And it just didn't pan out very well. But moving to Las Vegas, and I did some commercial projects, it just taught me that I'm not a commercial photographer. That's really what I learned. I learned that I'm not a commercial photographer. So That seems bad in a way, but it's actually really helpful. What else? What else? What else? This one is also coming back. This is 2013. This back then. Okay, this was a fan favorite for automobile enthusiasts. It's a Scion. What was the name of that car? Gosh, I'm blanking out on the name. It was like an SR4. It was something like that. I'm blanking out on the name. But yeah, it was a lava reddish color. It was something like that. But it was a nice little sports car. And I did a series on it. I created a 60-second video / commercial for it. And the dealership really helped me out with that. And that did get a feature on AIGA. So I was happy about that. But yeah. So this one's also making a comeback because people really like this series. But again, as time goes on, I start taking images off the previous sites I've had, so I wouldn't have to manage those. But yeah, on this particular website, like everything is getting added. I'm hoping that it doesn't seem, like too much, but like everything's getting added. And then some of these I don't think are going to be included, but I don't know. This is going to be like a process of elimination. This is also Jacksonville 2016. And I guess where I'll leave off on today is like, I thought about teaching photography, but I'm not a technical photographer. I more so go off of feel. So, especially if you take photography classes, your first 6 months is going to be all numbers. You're going to be taught the settings on your camera, how you sync your aperture with the shutter speed, with your ISO, and there's a number system that you use to do all of that really quickly. I glazed over a lot of that in terms of knowing like really quickly if you change your aperture, your f-stop, like a half a stop or a third of a stop or a full stop, like how do you have to switch your shutter speed then with your ISO? It's like it's like my eyes start getting all glossed over. It's like, yeah, I'm not really interested in this part. But that was my class, and my classes were more technical. And so when I began to, after I graduated and I started approaching my photography the way that I do, a lot of people, employers who were interviewing me, they noticed that about my work. Like I go by feel, and my work isn't, how is it explained to me? My work is more fine artsy. And one interviewer, specifically where I showed him my portfolio. He looked through the website. And of course, back then it was a completely different website. But he was like, your work belongs in a gallery, like in an art gallery. And I'm like, you can't be serious right now. Because I was doing an interview for a wedding photographer. And again, as he looked at my work, he was like, first of all, your work, the style of your work is not commercial. and your personality is not commercial. I'm I'm a very laid back, quiet individual, right? And it's not like I haven't worked with models before, but I'm just not, you know, like, I don't like crowds. I don't like being seen. I'm more so like I do my work without being in front of a bunch of people. Now, do I still run into people as I'm out photographing things? Of course. They stop me, they ask me questions. What camera are you using? What lens are you using? What are you taking? Let me see this. How did you capture this? What's your advice on this? Like, I have no problem with all that type of stuff. But when I'm actually working on a project and I'm working with other people, I'm not as verbal as a lot of others are with giving direction and that type thing. So, yeah. The 2 years I was in Las Vegas, that was the biggest issue that I ran into on my projects was I'm not a verbal person. Like, everything is like, I can see it in my head, in my mind, but communicating that with other people, I don't do that very well all the time. So, yeah. It's something that I've gotten better at. And then it got to the point where towards the end of my time in Las Vegas, it got to a point where I didn't like dealing with other people as much because of their, like, when I'm on a project, this is when I'm going to start the project, work on the project, finish the project, right? And when it's time to start the project, I really want to start the project. Like, if we schedule a day, if we schedule a time, stick to it. And just getting past that part was like really, really difficult. So, so more and more I started working on my own projects and ideas. It's more difficult, of course, to work solo by yourself, but everything got done and I was able to build my portfolio the way I wanted to build it. And then I also ran into the situations where certain projects I would just turn them down because there are certain things that I won't capture. There are certain places I won't go. There are certain certain subjects I won't capture. So it's like my boundaries started getting in the way as well. So yeah, I ended up coming back to Florida, and yeah, I've been here ever since 2016. I've been back here. And I guess I will say I miss the mountains. California weather was really good. Snow. I wasn't out in the snow a lot, but like there was some snowing in Nevada when I moved briefly to Reno too. Definitely snow in Reno. And when I was working in California, we went to like a Christmas party in the mountains and it was snowing there. So just, seeing different environments. But I still think Florida is great as a base for me because taxes, no state tax, still near the beach, of course, on either side of the coast, or either side of the state, I should say. And yeah, like I said, the first 30 years of my life, I was here. So I'm used to it. Now, do I want to move back to my hometown in South Florida? No, I don't. Um, and even where I'm at now, I feel like I need more space. Um, I want to pick a city that's less crowded, definitely not as big. So I have been poking around online, looking at different places. And even though this is my home state, like I've either been in South Florida or I've been in Northern Florida. I haven't been in a bunch of places in between. So there's a lot of places that I didn't know about that seem interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to be. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to be working on. And again, the older pieces, they are going to be not really expensive at all. The only way the price can go up quite a bit is if you order a really large size, like a 30 by 45 inch or a 60 by 40 inch. And if you get a certain product type, like the archival face mounts, that material is expensive, especially if you get the one that's matte. The surface is matte instead of glossy. Material is more expensive. So if you see your a print that you like and you want the price to be, keep it on the lower end, I would just say buy the print solo on a decent paper and then frame it, you know. But if you want to go fancy with it and put it in a, you know, like the wood box frame or something like that, you can definitely do that. But if your budget is definitely on the lower end, then I would definitely say just buy one of the photography papers, just a photo by itself, no other options or accessories, and then you can frame it yourself with a frame that costs, you know, a lot less. But yeah, they're all going to be signed. And I think everything is looking, you know, really good, like going in the right direction. So this week I'm still working on tweaking some things with the stuff that already has signatures. And when I say tweaking, it's probably making the signature thinner or a little bit lighter so that this signature is not so pronounced, but it kind of blends into the photograph more. It's basically what I'm going for. So it's nothing like a huge change. But I'm just making sure that this signature is blended with the rest of the photo correctly, and it's not just like bam, you know. So that's the only thing with it. Yeah, so that's all I'm doing. I did change the navigation up here so that there is no more photo with the title up here anymore, because when I went to the mobile device, I looked at the website on my phone. It was just too crowded. So I wanted to clean up the interface. Yeah, I wanted to clean up the interface and make everything more simple. Minimalistic approach. And I will say with Newport, the photos, now that I'm really looking at them, none of these are done, but these are the placeholders. Because they're so old, a lot of them are more grainy. So I'm not gonna have these available at the largest size possible. I'm probably gonna take them up to a 24 by 36, and that's it. Because after that, it can get really pixelated, and I don't want to run into that issue. This one's not so bad, but this one, I was looking at it last week and I'm like, yeah, I added my signature already. I'm probably gonna rotate it down a little bit so it's straight, more on a straight line. But yeah, see in here, it's more grainy. So I'm not gonna push these. I'm really not gonna push these that much in terms of having them at a larger size. Yeah, these are all Newport Beach, which in California ended up becoming my favorite place to go, to the pier. But cost of living, expensive, for sure. So, yeah, this one is, and it doesn't even look digital. This is more, it looks more like a film texture, but I like the mood. I like the feel of it. So I'm like, I'll keep it. And then this is, I think, the same day, but completely opposite approach in terms of color. And this is probably one of my first photographs that got put on exhibition in overseas at Art Basel. So yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing. Wherever my work has been on exhibit, I have to add those photos here as well. I'm just debating with myself what to call that particular page. But like up here, I have publications. I would like a separate page for just photographs of wherever my work has been on exhibit, so that you can see the work at art fairs or exhibitions and things like that. I think that would be really good to have here. So I have to dig all of those up. I did lose some files, but I think I have enough left to fill out the page. Yeah, this is definitely Newport Beach, and one of my favorites. But this is like 2009. This particular photo, I didn't shoot it in RAW. I shot it in JPEG. So the largest I can get this is an 8 by 12 inch. It's very small. It's very small. But good news is, yesterday I did work on one of the other photos that I was telling you guys about before. It was only an 8 by 8 inch photograph because I didn't, it is a RAW file, right? But when I first created this in 2013? Yeah, I didn't size the RAW file the way I was supposed to back then. So it was only an 8 by 8. So yesterday I went back to the original RAW file, recreated everything between Adobe RAW and Photoshop, recreated the image. So I blew it up to a 60 inch by 40, right? Like the whole image. And then I cropped out all the extra, the excess stuff. So squared it up. And so now this is a 25 by 25 inch image. So it's a lot bigger. Yeah, that's like three times as big. So on here, yeah, it's available. And this is because it's from 2016, it is an archival print. It's going to be on the lower end in terms of cost. So if you just get the 8 by 8, it starts at $50 without the border. And of course, if you add things, or if you want to go, you want a bigger size, like the 25-inch by 25, it's 123. So there's that. Now, like I said, I want to categorize the pricing categories, and use that as a keyword. And that's going to be something that I do down the road. But in terms of, if you want to pick the cheapest option possible in terms of just the print, I would go Ultra HD photo print for sure. I would definitely go this one, because once you start adding the acrylic glass, or you add aluminum dye bond, they're more expensive. This is the matte acrylic glass, is more expensive. The lambda print, this is also pretty good in terms of cost. Hold on, let me fix this. So the 8x8, if you go glossy without border, it's $45 for the 8x8. So yeah, the Fuji Crystal Archive, which is what I've been using for I don't know how long. The similar to the Fuji Pearl that I've been using for years. But I think that the Lambda and the Ultra HD, they're brighter in terms of prints. So yeah. In terms of where prices start for the paper types, the Fuji Crystal Archive DP2, that's on the low end, and then I would probably say the Ultra HD is probably a step above that. Now, if you start going with the fine art prints, that's gonna be up there for sure. That's gonna be up there for sure. Because now you're going into the fiber paper. It's not photography paper. It's more like cloth. It's more like fabric. And then you can go into, the rag. This is the fine art pearl. Baryta, which is really good, but more expensive. So, yeah. It just depends. And again, it'll tell you here the attributes of each paper type. And again, on the Shopify store that I used to have, it didn't have this information either. So you can see on here, and then there's an example of the paper type. You see that not like a pebbly, but it's got some texture to it. It really does. Yeah, and this has more texture to it, and it's a little bit more shiny, like a semi-gloss. Oh, so the gloss level here is saying silk gloss. And then the gloss level for this one is silk matte. Yeah, so all the information is here. And I didn't put any of this information in myself. All of it is already included into the Photo Labs website. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing the Photo Labs information and pulling it onto my website, so I don't have to add all this information and the sizes and the options and all that type of stuff. It's integrated into my website, so it just makes it a whole lot easier for me to offer so many options. But this one's $60. It's not bad. But as I said, it does vary depending on paper size, of course, that type of thing. Now, I will say, and I probably said this before, is I want, especially you guys, beginning photographers, beginners, just because the paper is more expensive or the material is more expensive doesn't mean it's going to make a better print. It just means that if you want a matte look on with a certain texture, you can choose something that's like a Hanamule, which is a German paper. You can choose something like that. But if you want something that's more glossy and it really pops, then I would not choose the German paper because it's going to flatten out, like everything is going to pull all the shine out of it. So you have to keep in mind, like, or have an idea of how much do you want your work to pop or to have flair to it. How vibrant do you want your work to be, right? Because especially if you get like a Canson rag paper, it's not going to be vibrant. It's not. It's just not. It's not going to be vibrant at all. So you do have to be careful with that. Because you see how much texture it has, and it's literally like rag, that texture. And so what happens is the ink is gonna get absorbed. The fiber is gonna absorb a bunch of the ink, so it's not gonna, the inks, the colors, they're not gonna pop. This is a popular paper still because a lot of collectors don't like the glare from the photo paper, the photography paper. So they'll order the rag or something like that to take all the glare away. And yeah, they just stylistically as well, they don't, lean towards that. So every time I do a podcast, it seems like I try to emphasize that. But again, this is what I'm going to be working on. I did finish the Stasis series yesterday. So it's completely done. The signatures, I redid those. I added the full-size print files. I took away some of the speckles or aberrations in the prints. Because I basically had a lot of placeholders in here. So got rid of the placeholders, added all the full print files. So this is something that'll be ready to go. This is also a favorite. Or it used to be. But again, this is from 2013. Now, as far as more content for the channel, especially on YouTube, I would say that as I continue to finish these categories between the series and the collections, I'm already thinking about presentations. How do I want to present the work? And then, like I said earlier, adding the presentations as for podcasts, for video content. So that's what that's going to be. And then there'll also be I've been putting together design agencies. I've been putting a list together of places to contact to show my work towards and see if they want to bring my work, have my work as part of their art collection, or have me as on the list of one of the artists that they contact to. Because when interior designers are putting together their spaces, they always need artwork. So I've been looking at several agencies and like I said, creating a list. And then once everything's finished here, everything's not going to be uploaded. I'm going to constantly be uploading things throughout the rest of this year, like 2024. But once everything that's here, like all the placeholders are gone, then I'm going to start reaching out. I have to create new postcards, the wide postcards. I got to create new ones because the old ones that I have are outdated and I want to redo the design. So it's going to be leaning towards marketing. And then I have to make sure that the presentation is the same on catalogs, flyers, postcards, social media, especially Pinterest. Make sure all of that's the same in terms of style and presentation, right? Or style of the presentation. So it all just takes, it takes time. Because what I want to do is create presentations that I'm going to use on multiple platforms. So I've already jump-started or restarted the TikTok channel or profile page. Pinterest, I've already whittled down the pins on there. I've whittled down the content that I have on YouTube and put the other episodes that I had on there. I put that on a different channel completely. The episodes that didn't fit under the studio umbrella. So I moved those to a different channel. And yeah, it's just organizing things. So yeah, I think that's why a couple weeks ago I took a break, because every evening that I come home from my day job, there's always something for me to do or to work on. So yeah, I just have to take a break because it's not like I can take a break when I get finished. Because I have so much stuff, like I said, to do right now that the rest of this year is going to be really busy. Not with new work, but with finishing old work, editing some stuff, re-editing some things, adding things, pruning things, including social media channels. So it's just a lot of stuff I'm doing at one time. I think the biggest thing for me is like reading my scripture in the morning, which gets my mind kind of, focused and less sporadic, chaotic, and just go from there, And I think just every day having like one thing, like for sure, that I have to get out the way. Excuse me. And then anything else that gets done after that is a bonus. So yeah, for today, it was just creating the podcast. Yesterday, it was about this particular series, Stasis, getting this one finished, like just completely finished with everything. And then tomorrow, which is Wednesday, where do I want to jump to next? Probably this one. Because remember what I said before about the signatures being lighter and more integrated into the images, the photographs. These really stick out to me. So the only thing I'm going to do is kind of mess around with the opacity, maybe the thickness if necessary, but the thickness looks pretty good on here. Yeah, I can't make this any thinner. So yeah, maybe the opacity will drop down. I'll see. Yeah, very minor. These are not as bad as I was thinking when I was looking at them yesterday. So yeah, maybe a little bit. This one's already almost there. Yeah, this one's too high. Um, just signature is too bright. It might be a little offset from where it needs to be as far as the position of it. So yes, for sure. The past few weeks I've driven myself a little bit crazy with these. But again, once they're done, like they're done. For the most part, the orders go through smoothly. Um, yeah, so I don't have to I don't have to mess with them anymore. So yeah, the thickness looks pretty good. Because as you can see, I'll blow this one up. I want the thickness to be not to be consistent. So it's really thick here, then it thins out, then it thickens up again with the lines. So I want to make sure that's right. So I'm just, again, making sure the line thickness is the way I need it to be, and the opacity, just making sure the opacity doesn't need to be tweaked. It doesn't take me that long to go through these. It's just, it is time consuming. Because I have 2 folders that I keep these in, and I want to keep the images organized. But again, once that's done, then I'll also create a video presentation for these as well. I would love to include the interiors, the rooms, with the photographs on the wall, so it goes back to what I was showing you guys on here, where you have the interior and the images there. But I'm not going to use the interiors here on the website. I've got a bunch of interiors that I use already. So I'll just update the images there and those interiors, and then I'll figure out what I want to do in terms of layout. Like, how do I want the images to be laid out? As far as music, adding some type of melody there. Do I want to use any motion with the text or any motion effects? Just experiment with that. And I'll probably use Canva. Canva's been pretty good with doing that. And then also I have to make sure with the sound is that I don't run into copyright issues when I upload it to other platforms. So sometimes I run into that where I have to make a presentation, one of them that's with no music, and then one of them that has the music from Canva. Just in case I run into, like, sometimes I'll put something on TikTok and they'll be like, oh, we can't play this song or something like that. So I'll have to use something directly from TikTok or directly from YouTube to include with the presentation. So there's that. There is that. But that's what I'm going to be doing. That's what I'm going to be doing. And believe it or not, this is probably one of my most popular series that I've done. And this is from 2009, which is crazy. And they haven't lost their, they don't look dated, right? They don't look dated. And this is the only, if I think about it, let me think. Yeah, this is the only Christian photography series that I have, like, from the Christian category or subject. And since this is, closer to the beginning of my journey, this is like year 2. in terms of how long I've been photographing. Yeah, this is year 2. Almost the end of almost the 2 years. Because I started March officially. I started March 2008, and I captured this series in August 2009. So, yeah, I it's still one of the best. I would say this one is still getting, I'll get emails and people still comment on it because they're seeing it for the first time on a different, like I have my photography spread out on different platforms. So they're seeing it for the first time. Still getting really good comments for it. So unexpected, but I'm happy about that. But yeah, so that's why I'm so picky with presenting my work, because there's photographers everywhere. Everywhere. They're using their phone, they're using point and shoots. Some of them are really, really good with their DSLRs. So it is competition where there's limited space in exhibitions and art fairs, in corporate spaces. There's limited space, and so you're competing with, your work being seen over someone else's. So when it comes to presentation, it's like you can't take shortcuts, and then you're entering competitions. You really have to put your best work out there because you're competing, and it costs money to enter into exhibitions or art fairs, having your work getting printed out, promotional material and whatnot. So yeah, you really have to make sure that, okay, once you finalize something, it's like making sure that, yes, this is something you're going to be proud of when you enter it into a competition or you have it on exhibit, like your name is on that. So first impressions are a big deal. Really, really a big deal. So hopefully I'll end. I keep trying to end, and I keep thinking of something else to add. Showcase is where I consider most of this my best work. Some of these are going to get removed. But it's really 20 to 25 of my best images across the entire inventory, So we're going on 14, 15 years almost worth of work. Picking out 20 to 25 of your favorites and putting them in one spot. So in terms of price, these are going to be on the higher end most of the time. They're a lot newer. And I think this is the last project that I worked on, 2023. Yeah. So you can just see how my style has changed. This is 2022. This one is probably going to be taken out because I like it, but I don't like it as much as I used to. And this is from 2022. And then the other thing too is that as the years go by with a particular print, like just take this one for example. 5 years from now, it's going to be cheaper than it is right now, because 5 years from now, or 5 years from when I captured it, is going to be 2027. So that's when it starts coming down. in price, right? Because my work is gonna, I feel like my work is gonna continue to get better. Um, yeah. So the older stuff, the price gradually comes down. And then I guess once a year, I start reevaluating where all the prices are for all the photographs. Sometimes even some of the older work gets more expensive or a little bit more expensive because demand on that particular print goes up, or has stayed consistent. But other than that, for the most part, the prices usually come down as the prints, they get, they age, they get older. Yeah, this is 2022. I'm wondering if this signature is too bright. I might want to lighten it up a little bit. Instead of 100% opacity, maybe go to 70, 75. Because when when someone comes and looks at your work, your signature can't become the first thing that draws their attention. At least that's not how I want my work. And sometimes I'll come to a work and my signature's so predominant that that's where my eye goes to first. And that's not what I want. I want it to be seen, but not take over to that extent. And so that's why I'm going back into some of these files and lessening the opacity to make sure that they blend in a little bit more, so it's more balanced. It stands out, but it, enough, but it blends in like it's supposed to with everything else. And I've been looking at some work from illustrators, like how they do their illustrations, even with comic books and everything, but they have their signature in there. And of course, when you first look at the illustration, you don't see their signature right away. But as you start looking through everything, it'll be there, like it'll be noticeable. But it's not the first thing that catches your eye. So yeah, like this one, definitely that would come down in opacity, maybe in thickness too. This I'm on the fence. I don't know. I'm on the fence with that one. Because I really do like it the way it is right here. Even though like I can see my signature, but I just like how it's written. I don't know. I like it on this one. Yep, this one's a lot darker. Because this was brighter, the signature. And it got to a point where, because everything in the image is so flat, it's the first thing that I would look at when I saw it. So I'm like, oh, okay, we got to bring this down a bit so my eye doesn't drop down here. My eye has to go up here first, right? And then come down towards the signature. But if my signature is really predominant, that's going to be the first thing that catches people's attention. So it's a rule, but it's not like a hard, like every single time it's going to be the same opacity for everything. It just depends on the feel. This one, I'm on the fence. It's probably going to come down. And then this one, the problem is too, is that the background is so busy. I don't want to lose the signature too much. For sure. I don't want to lose it too much, but it might come down in opacity a little bit. I'll test it out. This one's done, and this one's a perfect example of you can see the signature, but it's not like it doesn't take up too much of your attention. but it's there. More finesse. Finesse is the right word. I started using that 2 weeks ago. It's like they need more finesse. So when you look at the thumbnail or the smaller image, it's like I can see it, but it's not, like crazy in my face. So that one, I like that one. It's done. This one broke the rule. This one definitely broke the rule. I didn't mess with the opacity with this one at all. I like that it's there. Just because it feels like it's in the flow of the lines, because your eye is going to naturally follow the lines down. At least my eye does. So it doesn't bother me on this one. It doesn't. Now on the other one, I think on the Oculus, I changed it, but yeah. This one, the signature is in a weird spot, but that's the only place I could put it where it would be legible. Like I'd be able to see it. Intertwined. I feel like I'm missing something. Hold on. Oh, I didn't put that one here. Never mind. That one is fine. It's hard to see, but if you examine it, like you really look up close, you'll see my signature. It's here. So I kind of put it in there with the branches. I thought that would be interesting to do. And this one's fine. This one I did lighten up the opacity, and I still don't know if that's enough. I might try maybe take 15% off and see if that's a little bit too low. But I already fixed it. I already fixed all of water. Yep. It's just that the blue is so dark and really saturated. I don't think I'll be able to make it even lower the opacity more than I already have. So I think I'm gonna have to turn my brain off on this series and just go with what I've got, because I don't have I don't have time to go overboard and be like ultra picky on how these look. Yeah, because see, like this one, you almost miss it. Like you don't see it as well. So I'm trying to find that balance on each one. And the more it has in the background in terms of color texture, the harder it's been for me to find that balance. But I've been looking. Now this one's conversion, but so anyway, if anyone has any questions about the myriad of things that I've covered on this episode, then feel free to leave your questions, comments, or any feedback in the comments section. And I do get those. This one, I took the opposite approach. I went really towards blending in the signature here, right? And it works really well because of the gradations in the back. You're going from that gray to white. So the signature blends in on this one really well. And it works. It works for this one. And like I said, this one's total opposite. Went with a black signature, and it's more pronounced. I like both of them. I like both of them. But again, my point being is like you can't have the same approach to everything, right? So you have to know when to stick to the rule and then when you just need to toss the rule altogether, or sometimes you're going to find something in between. But just so that you know, okay, for the most part, this is what I'm trying to do with the look, the presentation, the finesse of it. And then if it doesn't work, it's like, okay, well, let me try something different, right? Yep, this is another one where I was like, oh, just go ahead and break the rule. Break it. This one's complete opposite. It's more of like intertwined with this flow here of the lines. This one's kind of in the middle of the last two, where it's there, but you know, I had a hard time with this one because this is so much in the midtones across the board. You do have the highlights here, but wow, it's a lot of midtones. So it's easier for your eye to go here first. So I really had to make the lines for my signature pretty thin and light, so it didn't take too much attention away. But I do want it to be there, you know. Same thing with this one. You know, that was the crazy thing about seeing the Statue of Liberty for the first time. Because again, I mean, I've been in Florida most of my life. I haven't traveled around. So when I went to New York and I had only seen the Statue of Liberty on television. I'm thinking the statue is like this massive. I mean, it's still big, but I thought it was like this massive statue, and it's really not. The pedestal that it's on is massive, but the actual statue is not very big. It's only like what, a quarter of the entire structure. Like it's like the very top of it. And I'm thinking it's like, you know, the whole thing. But yeah, that's what struck me about it. I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah, it's basically the statue, but they built this, you know, it's layered. I mean, it's like this giant pedestal up to it. And it looks really cool. It's just not what I thought I saw on TV. It's not what I thought. I was like, wow, that's just not as, you know, massive. It's just, I don't know. But anyway, it's really cool. And it was really cold outside too. That was crazy. But as far as the One World Trade Center, that was really massive. Really, really massive. Crazy, crazy, crazy big. So that was difficult. Even at 35 millimeters, or wait, I think I went to 24 millimeters. I could not fit the entire skyscraper in the shot. Like it was just, it was rough. And of course it's surrounded by a lot of other buildings, so that was rough. But I definitely want to do that again. And you definitely have to take the other buildings out of the shot because they're gonna interrupt what you're trying to do in terms of composition. Like in editing, you have to take the other buildings out because they're just gonna make everything look messy. But yeah, 2019, so it's over 5 years ago now. It's crazy. And it's odd because like exactly a year after that, is when everything started shutting down. So I went during a good time. But yeah, I mean, since I have photographs coming back all the way, you know, I'm adding photos from all the way back in 2008, 2009. That's also why it's taking me a little while longer, because it's like I forgot about so much stuff. So it's like, oh, I remember this, I remember this, I remember this. Yeah. So it's been crazy. Anyway, so once I'm done adjusting the signatures on stuff that already has them, I'm gonna start working on the photos that don't have any signatures. I usually jump on the iPad and use my Apple Pencil and just write the signatures in. Probably like 20 photographs at a time. Just pick up 20 files, add my signature to all of those. And it's also important for me that the signatures don't all look the same. So that's why I don't like copy paste the same signature on all the photos. I just think that's important as well, that it's not like a copy paste thing. Because if it was, it would be a lot faster for me to do this. But I feel like certain photographs, like they just lean towards a certain style as well. So my signature on some of these pieces look drastically different, which I don't know if that's a problem or not, but that's just how I'm approaching it. So, but that's what I'm going to be doing. And that will probably take place as far as adding my signature to more photos, probably on Friday evening. I'll start with that. If I keep getting solid progress during Wednesday to Thursday, then by Friday I feel like I'll get off work and I'll be able to work on some stuff that doesn't have signatures, namely Newport Beach for sure, because I'm gonna not do them over again, but I'm gonna go back to the raw files and just make sure that I take out any color aberrations, any noise, any noise that's there. Because these, like I said, they're from 2009, so they're very noisy. I don't think my camera sensor was very dirty, even though I was at the beach. Everything looked pretty good. So I'm not getting any grains of sand on the lens, but just the graininess of it, I want to make sure it's not like crazy. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. The other thing is, I know people have been, well, before they like the automobiles, so there's going to be more of those as well. I'm going to go ahead and add more of those. I did finish the favorite 5 from years ago that people were drawn to. So all of these are completely done. The opacity for the signatures, like everything's done. The full size of the print file is there. So these are completely ready. Now the Pontiac GTO, the 1965 Pontiac. Young ladies, yes, I'm going to add that back because I got the most traffic for those. I mean, you guys just gravitated towards that color. For me, I wasn't crazy about the plum. I think it's like a plum color of the car. It wasn't purple or magenta. It's like a plum, or like a light plum color. That's the only way I can describe it. And I only have maybe 2 or 3 photos of it, but it was one of my more popular photos on Pinterest that people saved and shared and all of that. So I took it out. I took these out of my inventory years ago, but they're coming back. And they're going to be a part of the archival collection, so they're not going to be really expensive at all. Yeah, yeah. But that's all I have. That's all I have. And then I will continue to add to shorts, my shorts collection, which they're doing very well on. Some of them are doing really well on TikTok, and they're doing okay on YouTube. But between those two, I'm kind of judging like how people are responding to them, what they want to see, things like that. So I don't even know if I can bring it up here now before I go. But yes, I did reopen my TikTok account for the studio, and I'm looking at other types of content because I need just more content to talk about. So yeah, here we go. I can pull it up on here. So yeah, I'm always looking at interiors, like a lot of interiors. So the old stuff that I have in the archives, I'm adding on, but TikTok is not responding well to the old stuff that I have from the archives. Anything that I've captured new, the platform is sharing that a lot more. So that's why I'm up into the thousands, like 1,600 here. I got 1,800 here. So as long as it's recent and it's on, the subject is on point, then I'm getting a lot of reaction from those. Now, from the recent stuff, the last few days, I'm having people go back to the old stuff that TikTok really isn't pushing, and they're giving me likes on that stuff. So I do have plenty more stuff in the archive to add, but I'm not expecting a bunch of impressions for those. But I'm still going to add them anyway because people who are coming to the site for the more recent stuff, they can still go back and see some of the older videos that I captured. The other thing that I'm thinking about is capturing the video in landscape form instead of portrait form, and then adding that to TikTok as well, along with like having that as a full YouTube video instead of just a short. But yeah, the new stuff is doing pretty well, and I do have about 7 or 8 more to add on here. So between here, the YouTube Shorts, X, which used to be Twitter, but I'm trying to call it X now. That's where you'll usually find these clips of interiors, including home decor. With this particular one, I found this marble. I think isn't this marble? It's got a marble texture to it. But I really like it. So I showed you guys my desk before. I actually want my desk to be marble. So I'm thinking, what if I take that marble top, or that material, that marble textured top, and have that as the table for my desk? Well, one of the tables for my desk. And then buy the wood, right, and paint that black, and then sit that top right into it, right into like a groove, and just sit it on top. And then that can be my table to replace the table that's here in front of me. Because I upgraded my keyboard to like a full keyboard, I don't have as much room as I used to have. So anyway, I don't know. I'm thinking of a whole bunch of different things. I don't even know I talked about several different things in this episode, but that's what I'm doing, so you guys can follow me here. And I can include the link to here. It's still Eric C. Jackson Studio. Pretty much everywhere except for X. On X, I think it's ECJ Studio. So I have to make sure that it's in the description, the links in the description correctly, so you guys can go off of that. But yeah, TikTok is also a really good place to find other design agencies because they have video of all their interiors and it shows you like the style of art that they're leaning towards. And so as I'm thinking about new work that I'm going to create probably towards the last quarter of this year, I'm going to lean that way to see if I can create something more in that style. Because especially some of my older pieces, a lot of my older pieces don't fall into that style. So more contemporary, more finesse, probably more abstract, probably more macro photography, more of a minimalistic approach. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. And then, like I said, in between all that, the writing is going to switch to become the main thing. And then the photography is going to become secondary. Because right now, photography is the main thing and the writing is definitely secondary or maybe third, to be honest. So, yeah, that's going to flip. But thank you guys for tuning in. And I hope to have another update, especially going into July. But I want to get a lot of things out of the way in terms of the foundation for the photography and getting everything finished. And like I said, and as far as adding work, old work, archival work, that's going to be for basically the rest of this year. Just a little bit at a time here and there. It's a lot. I've looked over all the files now since I've had my break. It's a lot of work that I'm going to add. So stuff I completely forgot about, really. It's a lot of work to add. But everyone, take care and see you next time.